Good evening and welcome to Undaunted, bringing into the news untold stories. I am Star Smart. Let's begin. Well, amidst the challenging geopolitics of Africa, the government of Ambazonia under President Samuel Sako has been undertaking a nuanced diplomatic approach aimed at strengthening ties with the United States. This strategic pivot comes as Russia continually expands its influence across Africa by cementing military and diplomatic alliances, notably with La République du Cameroon. Such alliances have raised international concerns, especially in light of recent developments where Russian military camaraderie with French Cameroon appears to deepen, evidenced by the deployment of La République du Cameroon's mercenaries to support Russia's military efforts and the visible Russian backing of La République du Cameroon's representatives in international forums like Philemon Yang at the United Nations. Ambazonia's leadership harbors concerns over this growing partnership, viewing it as a direct threat not only to its quest for self-determination, but also regional stability. Well, President Samuel Sako consequently advocates for a more proactive and intentional U.S. foreign policy in Africa. He argues that the current geopolitical landscape, shaped by the Russia's support for dictatorial regimes against the United States' democratic principles, requires a robust response. By aligning more closely with the United States, Ambazonia seeks to establish a strong bilateral relationship that champions collective security, democracy, and respect for human rights. Well, this move by the government of Ambazonia signals a critical juncture in Africa's geopolitical dynamics, urging the United States to reconsider its strategic interests and alliances in the continent. By doing so, Ambazonia not only positions itself as a fortifier of democratic values, but also challenges the burgeoning militaristic and autocratic influences encroaching upon Africa's political landscape. Now, the most recent romance between Putin's Russia and Bia's La République, as found media, has once again sparked these concerns. But before we get into that, let's get to the prime headlines.
Here are the prime headlines for tonight. La République du Cameroun are seen after the Bamenda Boyan Tarinkun Chopo markets. Genocidal La République du Cameroun has today brought down the Banso market. La République du Cameroun installed mayors pay a deaf ear to traders' plight, while President Sako proactively tries to intervene. Decades of neglect may see a turnaround. The colonial government of La République du Cameroun allegedly commit 30 billion francs CFA to Bamenda Babaji Road amidst election speculation. Southern Cameroon awaits skepticism. GCE board goes mute regarding payment of the GCE examiner out-of-station allowances. Also tonight on Undaunted, Colonial Minister Atanganji Paul's dual struggle, facing Ambazonian resistance and Boko Haram blames unregistered numbers. You might take a laugh. Russia and French Cameroon forged stronger military and diplomatic relationships amidst regional wars. The military ties, most especially, raises eyebrows internationally, while in Africa, drought in Africa, IMF to offer assistance. And in South Korea, it pulled second military spy satellite successfully into orbit. Now let's get the news in full briefings. Meanwhile, of course, we want to remind you that we have our in-house analyst, Barrister Team, this year around, and when the time is due, we'll let him analyze all of the topical issues on our front burner. So this year has witnessed quite a number of fire outbreaks in the southern Cameroons. But before that, looking back at last year, it was the Manfi Central Hospital that suffered a fire outbreak. Even earlier, it was the Kumba Hospital and the Queen of Rosary College, Okoyong Manfi, was affected too. And only this year, there has been the Manfi Park in Manu County, the Bamenda Food Market fire outbreak that destroyed over 40 shops, taking one life, as well as the Bamenda Main Market fire outbreak that destroyed at least 300 shops. And today, the question has been thrown, when will these barbarism end? Now, this is where we will begin the full briefing tonight. And sincerest apologies for coming a bit behind schedule, but we are here with so much report for your information. How are you doing, sir?
Very well, Ongi. Good evening, Ambazonians. With all the numerous fire outbreaks in the southern Cameroons, especially unabated and time after time, it has become clear to even those who doubted at the inception of the systemic fire outbreaks that it is no longer a natural disaster, but an intentional act of arson. While some people have been wondering if this is an attempt to sabotage southern Cameroon's economy, others have been wondering if it's just an act to increase the suffering of Ambazonia. But whatever the case, all fingers have been pointing to the colonial La Republique and its terrorist military. Now, reports getting to Undaunted has it that a fire outbreak started in a local store around Boya Road, Mutengene, when, according to eyewitnesses, a smoker purportedly dropped his lit cigar right in front of what was described as funge, which means unrefined fuel. Now, first question emanating from this report that we got is, what adult in their right mind would light up smoke and drop it right on an inflammable liquid? And the second question is, how possible is it that such an act was unintentional or done in ignorance? The third question would be, could this be another minion sent by the arson regime to carry out another dirty deed in Ambazonia? Well, so far, all the fire outbreaks have been systematic, with all in Ambazonia's economic hub or infrastructure, as well as it all starting out like some genuine mistake or accident.
Well, the other time we reported it was a huge electric wire that couldn't possibly have been caught accidentally, right in the middle of the market, which people escaped from, first being electrocuted, and next the pending fire outbreak that caught electrical wire was about to be the cause. So how sure are we that this recent fire accident was actually an accident? It gets even more glaring when just after this, reports coming from Bui adds to the list of the systemic fire outbreaks as Bantu Market has as well been touched and is raging flames. The economic sabotage on the former British Southern Cameroons Ambazonia seem to have intensified since the start of this year.
Oh, well, while Amazonians are grappling with the devastating impact that the serial arson has had on both traders and consumers, La Republic installed mayors are making life even worse for the common man. Undaunted report prior of a situation at the Bamenda main market where the merchants of the market sealed their shops in council's rent hike. Traders of the entire market as well at the time joined the fight to pressure the colonial city mayor to revise the decision to increase the price of rent. Undaunted after investigation into the rent hikes realized that all three markets controlled by the Bamenda Colonial City Council have experienced rent hikes. Now, you might think that with all this pressure from distraught market men and women in protest, that these colonial city mayors would budge and drop down the rent prices to the old prices. Well, you're wrong. That certainly is not the case. As a matter of fact, these La Republic installed so-called mayors and politicians have proven to not be the least concerned about the plights of these traders who have had to deal with their shops and goods raised East, coupled with the economic downturn, inflation, and even the war declared on them by Libya. They have instead used these victims in their most distraught and vulnerable state for clout and other personal political gains, as we have brought to you in our previous bulletins.
Reports reaching on Donta today tells of market women in Ambazonia staging a protest to the Council of the La Republic to Cameroon City Mayor. The women were protesting due to an increase in their rents. Just to note that some of the women of the Nkwe market in Ambazonia during an interview said at first their rent per month was 8,000 francs. Colonial La Republic to Cameroon City Council increased the rent from 8,000 francs per month to 12,000 francs for some of the shop owners, which is an increase of 4,000 francs. During the protest, the women could be heard marching and singing in loud voices. We could get the women singing in loud voices and in pidgin saying, "We no go gree." It is with those songs that the women marched to the office of the city mayor. Most of them were carrying placards, carrying different messages. Upon arrival, the Colonial Republic, the Cameroon City Mayor Paula Chambang asked the women what their problem was. They were told of the recent increase in rent of those of them who have shops at the market. Some of them said the money added was too much and they couldn't afford. Now, the Colonial Republic to Cameroon City Mayor had talked with some close collaborators and told the women that instead of the 12,000 francs that they were supposed to pay, that they will now pay 10,000 francs, which means instead of the extra 4,000 francs that was added, it will be an extra of 2,000 francs. The question on many lips is why the sudden increase in rent? From observation, there have not been any improvements other in grain markets which could prompt and increase shop rents. The shops in the Nkwe market are still in terrible state, but La Republic to Cameroon, the government is increasing the rent. With all this happening, it could be termed as exploitation from La Republic to Cameroon government to the Ambazonian people, another opportunity to cause untold suffering to the peoples of Ambazonia.
Well, this recent case of protest is not the first. Some weeks ago, we gave a report of the Ndop market that shut down 7 years ago due to a huge levy that was placed on them by these same colonial mayors who went on strike in a bid that the colonial mayors would reconsider his huge levy, but had to reopen this year to still face the levy they were charged with without any form of reconsideration. As a matter of fact, these shops that refused to pay the increase in rent have been reported to be giving their shops to the Bamis and the likes. Now, knowing fully well that if interventions are not made, the traders at Bamenda and Tarinkon and other southern Cameroon's market with these increased rent bills could face the same fate, having their shops given away to these Bami. Our President Komi Sako, in his ever pragmatic approach during the Meet the People tour over the weekend when the president was with Mezam County particularly, he said he's going to pass a bill to the House of Assembly to vote into law that any of the shops of the people of Southern Cameroons in Bamenda that are being seized or given to the Bamis, the government is going to work to make sure that these shops are reclaimed. Isn't that amazing to hear? Well, this shows the proactive nature of the government of Ambazonia and how it not only listens to the concerns and plights of those on the home front, but actively works to ameliorate their distressing situations.
The government of Ambazonia must enforce these because this would put them in a position of responsibility and leadership. It improves the confidence that people have in them when it comes to governance and taking responsibility on one hand. And on the other hand, La Republic of Cameroon is manipulating and intimidating them when deep down they have a yearning relationship. Well, President Sako is definitely the perfect leader whose role is ensuring that his people are protected and who is also seeking justice for his people. In a surprising turn of events after years of broken promises, like that of the Ring Road and disregard for the infrastructure in southern Cameroon, it is rumored by La Republique du Cameroon proxy media and the colonial government of La Republique du Cameroon has pledged a significant sum of 30 billion francs CFA to expedite repairs on the critical Bamenda-Babajou route. This move, greeted with a blend of hope and skepticism, is seen by some as a strategic attempt to curry favor with the populace in anticipation of upcoming elections, rather than a genuine effort to address the long-standing infrastructure deficits that have plagued the southern Cameroons for 6 decades after La République du Cameroon's invasion.
Well, the colonial regime, after years of abandonment, purportedly accelerating the Bamenda Babajou Highway. La Republic Ministry of Works is requesting 30 billion francs CFAs to complete the Bamenda Babajou Road. Critics say it's another plot to manipulate the people ahead of elections. Others see such a huge significant sum as a sum to finance the war in La Republique against the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia as the election are drawing near.
Well, now let's take a walk across history. Now, according to history and maps, Babajo is the border between Ambazonia and other regions in the southern Cameroons. Now, the completion of the road is of no benefit to Ambazonians. And we can say that the only reason La Republique de Cameroon is on this road project is to protect and project their own interest. Now, according to the colonial government, they are trying to actualize the road promised years ago. But we know the reason. According to history, when the Enugu Highway was done, that is the Enugu to Bamenda Road, it was done on an international standard, and the highway was done by the World Bank for the people of Amazon also benefits. Now, during the time, the colonial government and that it occurred, just because the colonial government didn't want having any link and relationship with the Enugu of Nigeria, and also to cause separation amongst Ambazonians.
Well, these made life difficult, especially for the people of southern Cameroons living in Bamenda, who would have to go through villages like Bafusam, Sarbongari, Douala, Boya, Batibo, and the likes. But then the Enugu Highway made it possible for free connection to these villages and counties. But this was only done to divide the people, to keep them scattered, to spread the rumor that the people are scattered and divided amongst themselves. This is not the first time that they have been on the road. But then it seems like once the road is getting close to Bamenda, something happens, and then the road is suddenly stopped, meaning that they do not want the direct link between Bamenda and Babajou. All of this seems to be a political propaganda, but then is to propel as well the wrong agenda, and that's why the people of southern Cameroons are fighting for their own independence.
Now, amid rising tensions, GCE board refusal to address examiner out of station allowances casts a shadow on Southern Cameroon's struggle for educational sovereignty due to La Republique de Cameroon's intrusion. Now, that is the next topic we'll be getting into and the next report. But we've so far had some very interesting reports connecting to the home front. Now, let's get our in-house analyst, Barrister Basier, to give his thoughts on some of these issues, from the fire outbreak down to the road and the huge amount that will be needed to complete the road project. Barrister Basier, nice to have you here again tonight.
They burnt down schools. When the people finally left everything, they followed them to the cities and started burning the markets. It's not a singular event. You find Manfay Market, Bamanda Market, Mkwen Market, this and right, left and right, all markets being burnt. That is a weapon of war. What do they stand to gain by burning places and by burning markets in particular? The first thing is that they want to instill fear in the population. Secondly, they want to have control of the population. How do you get control? By the use of fire. For example, they burn down a market in Kumba, burn down a market in Manfay. These markets are owned by the councils in principle. Stores are supposed to have been built by the councils. You take them and pay rents. Where it is burnt or it is destroyed. First thing is you get the people coming out, you find women there with placards protesting about the burning. Immediately the market is down, they increase the rents. In this market which is burnt, or in the next one, which is not even burnt, like the one in Gwen, they increase the rents. One will wonder whether when they took the stores, when the stores that were rented earlier, what type of contract was it? Was it a contract that the mayor could go in the morning and just increase the rents? Certainly not. And so why are they doing all this? They do it for two reasons. First, to control you, get money out of you. Put pressure on you, as we have been saying here. So if you don't pay all this money, we'll hand the store to someone else. Be a Bamileke guy, or the mayor's sister or brother. With the poor woman or poor trader where to go, you borrow the money and give them. You don't just borrow the money to give them. If you don't want to give them the money, you borrow the money to bribe them, to take them off your neck. Lastly, it is a distraction to tell the world, not traders, to tell the citizens and the world that everything is normal. People are trading. They're fighting to open their stores. So it's a strategy used on our people in times of war. Are they right in what they are doing? Of course, that's a legitimate strategy. It is for the traders, for the people, the inhabitants, to know how to counter those strategies. And the women and other traders who trade in those markets, there will be no market without traders. So building that in there and putting 1,000 stores there without traders into it, it's not a market. A good example is what they used to call on the central market. That thing is built in 3-4 floors. It's crumbling. Nobody's inside there. And so what can the citizens, the traders, and the other people do? They have a weapon in their toolbox. Not carrying placards or carton papers to go and demonstrate. You know, we change nothing because Cameroon government as a whole does not care about demonstrations. Demonstrations mean nothing to them. But the weapon that you have in your toolbox is unity. If all the women said, okay, the market is burnt, we're not even coming there. Why are they even coming there for those markets that were burnt? Where is the security of the property? Where was the insurance? So we're not coming there. That would take you just about a week. They're not going to close down the market. If you shut down that nonsense and stay in your houses for 1 week and get all one spokesperson to be talking to them, they will open it. They will come to bake you. They will come to bake you. That's the tool. That's the weapon that you have in your toolbox, which you can use. Demonstrations in Cameroon, in general, not even to talk about Amazonian, and perhaps even in Africa, they will take you nowhere. The best thing they will tell you is, well, we'll take you to the hierarchy. What would the mayor even do? He will tell you he's going to see the government, the prefect, or the sous-prefect, or the toothless, khaki-wearing agents. And so, again, in Bamenda, the market is bent. For whatever reason, the market is bent. The trader is helpless. And you tell the traders, well, the government has deployed so many billion for us to rebuild the market. The government is trying to rebuild the market for you. You've never been done. As if there was a government market, it is not even built, it's not even rebuilt. Property is not, that the store was not even accounted for. Then you're increasing the so-called rents for the stores. And of course, we've nested it, asking people to come there to prove that they own the stores. One. Asking people to come there and show what was in their stores. Two. That's a monumental task, if not an impossible one. So again, to make that part of the story short, the traders and the citizens, the people of Bamenda, if it is Bamenda, Manfi, if it is Manfi, any town, like you just mentioned about Indop, the trader thing in Indop, the market was shut down for years. People said we're not doing this. Because if they pay the stores and increase it falls back on the other citizens because you go to buy. The trader loses nothing, he just needs to increase the price of his goods. And so that's the way you should have. They have civil society rights, confront them, rather than going to beg them with so-called demonstrations. Yeah, we're not happy. And so what? What would the mayor tell you? Absolutely nothing. The second aspect of what he said, which I want to take from you, talk about the roads. Two types of roads were mentioned. The Babaju-Bamenda Road. The Babaju-Bamenda Road, it was not born today. It has been existing in pre-colonial days. Even we purportedly joined them 60 years plus. The road has never been there. It was there last year. It was there in 2016. It has never been a better road. So what is the sense telling you that they borrowed 300 billion to come and build it on election year? Are they going to do anything? No. For those living in Bamenda, we are told, and I think it's correct, that the colonial governor of Bamenda is from Bunda. He lives virtually in Bunda, 30 kilometers from Bamenda. He has been using the very bad road. They have never constructed it for his own use. So what is the essence of telling you that they have 30 billion? If they have to construct any road there, it is not to help anybody in Bamenda. It is not to help any person. It's purely for their military transportation. They've realized that Bamenda, Bui, Ndop, Ngokutinja, and all those hard, difficult to reach areas are the heartbeat of the revolution. They need constant reinforcements. That will come from Kutaba, that will come from Bamenda, that will come from Douala, and that's the access they will have to go to Bamenda, to those areas. So if I told you anything there, it is not for you. You know, we said this in 2016, that the war will not last less than 10 years. We're now in the 8th year. Can you imagine what they have lost in the past 7 years just on that stretch of road? So if I told they are doing anything, which I think they're not even doing, it is propaganda. They are doing it for purposes of strategic construction for their military, not for you, not for me. That should be the lesson we have in our mind. Because again, the Babaju Road was not born today. The second stretch of road, which you mentioned there, is what they call the Bamenda Ekok Inugu Road. The official name for that road is the Trans-African High Road. The Trans-African Highway. Does Africa start from there? No. That road does not start from Bamenda. If they don't meant to do it, they should have started somewhere from Yaoundé, past through Bafoussam, the same power of the road. Built on the same standards that the World Bank designed, the structure is built from Bamenda. And so they have little control over it. They realize they will try to destroy it if possible. Because they realize now that the people in Bamenda and the whole northern zone are better fed with better goods and cheaper from Nigeria. From Bamenda to Cock to Calabar is not a long distance. If you leave Bamenda and you're going to Cock on that road, you get there before someone gets to Bamenda, someone gets to Yaoundé. And so they realize that this thing is making them unpopular, they're losing everything. So they will do everything to destroy it. They make all the bribe, if there is, on that road, catching camions, vehicles, heavy trucks that are bringing goods to Bamenda, heavy trucks that are bringing gas, petrol, which is cheaper when you buy it from Nigeria. And so that is it. If it is the Bamenda, if it is the Cameroon African Highway, why did it start only in Bamenda? Bamenda is not the beginning of Africa. It's not ending in Enugu. It's supposed to leave Enugu, or in fact, we're supposed to end at the Cock, and the government of Nigeria continue with its own faction from there through Calabar to Enugu and to other parts of Nigeria across the continent. That's what is called the Trans-African Highway. That's as far as the road is concerned. I don't know what was the other aspect you mentioned in this report. I've tried to say something about the use of fire as a weapon of war, which has been used in schools, throughout our territory, in churches. We saw them, a church burned down in Jam, others have been burned down, in hospitals. So whether it is fire or physical destruction or anything, those are illegal weapons of war. Because international law, the ICC, and other organizations outlaw the use of fire as a weapon of war. Because fire does not discriminate against anybody. They burn down everything that is on their way. They burn everything that is on their way. So that is collective punishment, which is going on. Are they doing this deliberately? Of course, somewhere they're not even doing it. I just saw one somewhere in a Debato. Was it today? Yes. Fire taking the whole place in the Debato. The people in the Debato are very farmers, fishermen. Fire takes the whole place. I ask, this Debato has been part of Cameroon, so-called Cameroon, since 1961. People are still living in houses built with grass and covered with leaves. They have even a mayor there. So what do they expect from Yaoundé? What more do they want from Yaoundé that they've gotten, that they could not get in the past 65, 70 years? Shall fires be in our own Amazonian fully established? Fire will be there, but there will be control. We'll have the system to control fire. Some of you declare, you say, well, it is little short circuit. Yes, maybe. If it is, so it is because little poles are falling and lying on people's houses, lying on market stores. In Ambazonian, it will not be that. If we have a market, fire control, stations right there, of course, they will fire trucks to fight fire if need be. And so that is foreseen in Ambazonia. A market will not just be for you to go and sell. The people on the council, city council, whatever thing they call it, there will be security. There will be police posts in the market, an effective police post to deal with crimes or offenses committed in the market. You'll be arrested, you'll be put on trial, you'll be fined, something will happen to you if you commit a crime in the market. You don't need to leave Kumba Town Market or Bamela Town Market to go 5 kilometers to find with my inquest, or find one in Dom, or somewhere to come and take care of yourself. That will not happen in the future of Ambazonia. I think that's what I can say about fire. That's what I can say about the roads. Thank you, and over to you.
All right, Barrister Tim. Looking at that, speaking of the fire issue and the market case in general, we had the president talk about it. Speaking of a bill he was hoping to pass to the House of Assembly, I want you to give us a little more insight into that. How will that impact the market people, and what does that mean for these market people?
If I got the president very, very well, the president said, look, if this strategy of burning market stores is to take your store away from you and give it to someone else. We shall put in legislation that will regulate such things. I cannot right now tell you the content of what is not yet there, but rest assured, when the legislation goes through, it will have adequate protections for people who own stores. For example, I don't even know what it will be, but for example, they'll tell you if you hire a store anywhere, the rents will be like this, and they should remain same for a certain period of time. The owner of the market must, as a matter of principle, provide general insurance against fire, against other things, other unforeseen things. That if there was a fire and your store was bad, you not just go away empty-handed. I don't know whether the people in Bamenda in particular, there's no even the notion of insurance. Insurance is a risk. It costs money, but it's also a risk. Because you insure your market, for example, say $10 million a year, 10 million francs a year. Well, it looks like big money. The insurance makes the 10 million, but you know, there may never be any fire there for the next 10 years. Well, you have been paying 10 million every year, that's 100 million you're paid. But if the fire were to happen, it will cost billions, and they will pay. So I guess that the legislation the president is talking about would protect you, the store owner, against the oppression of the guy. The stronger guy there is the market owner, who is using the instruments of government to manipulate you, to oppress you. And so that will not happen. They will probably say, I don't know, to be sure that they don't take the store from A and get to B, just like that, they will put some rules there. Why are we so frightened about this idea of burning stores and then to sell them to give them to the American people? It's not uncalled for. We are really concerned for good reason. The present market in Bamenda, the present market in Kumba, I'm just talking about the markets that we know. If you go to Bamenda, you're going to find already so many Bamenda traders there. But if you go next town, Bafusam, there's a market there. Bafusam, there's a big market there. How many people from the Bamenda, the Northwest in general, own stores in Bafusam? I think almost nothing. Because the Bamenda guys will not give their stores, they give it to their brothers, who belong to them from that, go through them. So why is it that they cannot, they think that market is, Bamenda is a free place for you to go and take stores? But they cannot open the same thing to you in Bunda. They cannot do the same thing to you in Bafusam. So if we have this, if we are scared for good reasons. If you go to Kumba, which I know very, very well, most of the stores, the number of the stores in the market, which is a very big market, are owned by Medicaid people. Cross Bamenda and just go down, Kumba, go over to Lum, to Kongsamba. How many Anglophones, how many Bangam people, because they are neighbors geographically to Kongsamba, to Melon? How many of them own stores in the big Kongsamba market? Nothing. Almost nothing. Is it that it was a mistake? You don't have the capital? No, they will not give it to you. And so we have a saying in the country, talk that if you snake bites the chameleon, you have to be scared. Again, go down. How many of our people are in Lum? Thousands who have escaped there. But who has ever ventured, for example, to become the mayor of Lum, which is next to Tombe? You go to Tombe today, the mayor of Tombe is a Bamileke guy. Do you expect this guy to be fair if there's a competition between you and me and her sister or brother from whatever place in their native country there?
That is very true, Barrister Team. That is very true. You
So
don't expect them to be fair.
If they doubt us, they should challenge me. We're saying this publicly. Those are the facts. Thank you.
Thank you to Barrister Team. We'll move on to all the reports of interest, looking at the GCE, what it was and what it is now.
Now, talking about the GCE, amid rising tensions, GCE board's refusal to address examiner out of station allowances, it has casted a shadow on southern Cameroon's struggle for educational sovereignty due to the La Republic de Cameroon institution. As the GCE board remains tight-lipped over the payment of critical out-of-station allowances for examiners, a behavior that is not Anglo-Saxon. The echoes of Southern Cameroon's fight to establish the GCE resonate against a backdrop of persistent exploitation, subjugation, and oppression. The ongoing irregularities mirrors a broader pattern of intrusion and systemic corruption by French Cameroon, threatening the legacy of sustainability of institutions like Southern Cameroon's Marketing Board, Choleti Estate, Southern Cameroon's Airline, Mobile Wing Place, Southern Cameroon's Bank, foundational to Southern Cameroon's identity and autonomy.
Well, the General Certificate of Education Board, the GCE Board, which was created on July 1st, 1993, is the initiative of the Southern Cameroons. And after the Cameroonization, so to speak, of the London GCE in 1977, things went on smoothly until 1984. A report we got from CNA, Cameroon News Agency, shows a GCE examiner perturbed about the fact that, according to these anonymous person, since they marked the GCE last year, the GCE board has gone mute regarding payment of their out-of-station allowance. And according to these complainants across their different subject panels, there's been bitterness, of course. Why wouldn't there be for people who haven't been paid after giving their service? With this, you can see the lack of prioritization in the Southern Cameroon's education system by La République.
Since La Republic de Cameroon took over the Southern Cameroon system of education, it has been a drastic devaluation. First, it was irregularities within the GCE, and now refusal to pay its staff after their service. The General Certificate of Education Board is fast losing quality, and if not rescued in the years ahead, will just be a shadow itself. Like every other function in Southern Cameroon structure, La Republic de Cameroon has over the years systematically killed the long-standing values and reputation of the General Certificate in Education. Meanwhile, in a recent revelation, Colonial Minister Tanganji Paul, the architect behind the creation of the DDR, urged up by the colonial administration aimed at undermining the Ambazonian state army by gathering intelligence and bolstering armed forces, voices his vexations at NISI's orchestrated efforts. Paul criticizes the use of unregistered telephone numbers by both what he calls the separatist fighters of the Ambazonian State Army and Boko Haram militants, highlighting a growing concern in his administrative challenges. The, the unanswered question remains, so what? Well, according to reports, the Colonial Minister of Territorial Reports, Paul Atanganji, the son of Oku and Ambazonian born, who has suddenly become a house slave, has said separatist fighters are using unregistered telephone numbers. How did the separatists get the numbers in the first place? And who are the separatists? Are all of these not election tactics? We ask. Well, according to reports, in the time past, let's say 3 to 4 years ago, there was a confirmation of a Tanganji, a CPDM loyalist, who was having his own fighters on the ground. Now, it means that Tanganji created his own amber fighters, or probably his own separatist fighters. Not just that, he has actively taken monies for humanitarian aids and things before now.
Oh, well, he has been using uniformed armed bandits, which he used and he has been using to fight state army up until now. Now, that same year, he said that he had already won the war, so why complain or care of, quote, separatist numbers since he has won the war? Meanwhile, a report that has it that he was one of those who flamed the war by saying there was no problem in the Cameroons and said the people had no reason for their grievances. He is also among projectors that say normalcy has returned. This just goes a long way to prove that the senseless war in southern Cameroon is really becoming intense. Well, like we said, we still have Barrister Tim and would like him to basically give his 2 cents on this particular report. Barrister Tim.
Yes, you have touched the GCE issue. It's ethic and a sensitive issue. For those of us who don't know, the GCE board, what they call the GCE board, was fought for, just like we're fighting for Ambazonian. People lost their limbs, and other people lost their eyes because of tear gas, fighting for the examination board. They call it at the time examination board. And the examination board, called it GCE board today, was meant to organize what they really call the GCE. GCE is the standard exams that English-speaking Ambazonians write at the end of their first and second cycle of secondary schools. And so this thing is written in English. It is the most expensive pre-university exam written in Cameroon. It's more expensive than registering in the University of Cameroon, in the government university, 50,000. Because it is a single subject exam. You pay. It's not a free for all ride. No student writes the GCE on credit. You pay cash. And so when the thing was created in 1993, I was in Boya then. I saw the people install it. It's not supposed to face those financial problems because people pay to write. And the fees they fix for the payment per subject that you write is supposed to include marking fees, examination fees. So if you're writing 10 subjects, say, so if you enter for 10 subjects at the O level, you're going to pay more than somebody who's writing 4 or 5. If you're writing 2 subjects at the A level, you are going to pay less than somebody who's entering for 3 or 4. And so it's not a free for all thing. They pay cash for it. But it was created under pressure because it looks like what they call the GCA board is a bare skeleton of what was conceived in 1993. In 1993, when it was created, the first registrar of the board was Ajong. I know so he will live with us there. Who was he? He was not an examination expert. He was the leader of the teachers' union that had fought and sacrificed for that board. The chairman of the board was late S.N. Dio. S.N. Dio was a veteran teacher, principal of caste Bambili for many, many years before retired in Limbe. And so that education. And when the Anglophones call them like that for the purpose of this debate, fought for the GCE board, they wanted an examination board that was going to handle the exam because Yaoundé was a total mess. They tried to Cameroonize it, make it a department of the Ministry of Secondary Education, made a chief of service there in charge of GCE exam, who was my own late friend. But things did not work. They fought for these things. But guess what happened? At the end of the day, when they were to grant this examination board called the GCE board, they made 2 decrees. The first decree created a board for the Francophones, which they call the back board. The second one created the GCE board. The back board was supposed to manage the baccalaureate exams in French, while the GCE will manage English-speaking exams in English. We do not want our children to go in writing mathematics in French, writing physics in French. So this definition was so clear. The teachers who were fighting, they were saying, they knew how to keep these rules. The board chair, the non-principal, had been for all his life. He had the educational background. But what is today? It was even further stated that the registrar of that thing, the technical leader, was proposed from the board, was proposed by the board. But what happened today? They have just simply cancelled all that nonsense. The minister appoints registrar now as he likes. So they have become ministerial appointees, just like if you follow what they are going on now with their so-called food. It's something very similar.
Very
But above
soon.
all,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, so
Above
it
all, let
just
me make
goes.
this. Yeah,
Just
let me make
goes to
this
show.
point because this point is important. When they created the GCA board in 1993, they remained the GCA board. But what happened in 1997? They included part of the GCA board, not to call it a back department. What is back? Baccalaureate is a French exam. So there's a back board somewhere in Yaoundé. What will we include in the GCE board, which is essentially English, a back board, a back part of the board? Did they create in the back board a similar thing for some GCE to be written by people in Yaoundé? They did not. So they just infiltrated the board,
Actually,
created a back
Barrister,
part
so
of it.
this just it goes a long way to agree to the fact that the La Republique's form of education is infiltrated, not just infiltrated, but brought down the standard of the Southern Cameroon's GCE. This just goes a long way to agree to that statement, doesn't it? But then now, moving away from the GC report, we have this report of a tanker injury, which I thought might be of particular interest to you. And that's something we'd like you to react to and give your 2 cents about the whole scope of that particular report concerning a tanker injury.
Okay. They didn't bring down the standards. No, they simply took over the thing. They have not brought down anything. The GCE board, like the University of Boya, which was initially meant to be Anglo-Saxon in everything, has just become transformed. They simply transformed it into a Francophone institution. And so that is their strategy. When the times are hot, they do something to appease you. After that, they come back with their old pen and pencil, clean it off, and put what they wanted there. But let us now go to Atanganji. See, you don't just see Atanganji's efforts now as an isolated event. Look at Atanganji from the beginning of the struggle. It's not Atanganji alone. Remember, if you have not forgotten, that at the beginning of this struggle, they cut off internet to the whole northwest and southwest. They didn't cut the internet for any other part of Cameroon. They cut internet for the northwest and southwest in their own language. And when people shouted all over the world, they purported to restore it. What we call the phones, which Atangaji is asking they should bring them this, they should bring them this. You think they're asking for phones from people in Douala, from people in Yaoundé, Bertoua, Garwa? No. They are looking for phones of Anglophones, as you call them, to see with whom they communicate, because they still have the internet there. They still have all these WhatsApp groups. They want to see who they communicate with. And so Atanganji has been the bulldog used for this thing. That's why you find Atanganji fighters. What did you call them Atanganji fighters? He's just a minister. Why not call it the fighters of the Minister of Defense or the gendarmeries? They put an Anglophone's face there and use him to execute their policy. Atanga is just a Minister of Territorial Administration. He's not in the defense in any way. And we have so many different factions of the defense in Cameroon. We have the gendarmerie, we have the police force, we have the BID, we have the military, we have the navy, we have all this. So why have they not called the Atangaji boys the naval fighters of A, or the private militia of General A or B or C? They don't want their name to be there. They want to put Atangaji there. Your own brother, your own father. But should they succeed? They have used Atangaji so many times in that way, which has ended them nowhere. How many of us have forgotten that in 2018, 2019? Atangaji officially banned the use of cutlasses or the sale of cutlasses and knives and so on in Ambazonia. Because according to him, they were Aba fighters were using them to fight. Well, go to Onik in Kelere in Boya, Bamanda, wherever I found and see how many colors are lying there. It is also of economic interest. Maybe we've forgotten that at the beginning of this struggle, Atanganji, the very Atanganji, organized a clean-off campaign in Sacred Heart College in Mancom, where he bought a few cutlasses, gave it to his paid boys to purport to clean Sacred Heart Mancom, to show that everything had gone back to normal. What do you think that thing cost? It cost billions. He simply went and hired Makwata, staged it for 2 seconds. The gendarmes were clearing the compound. Now, Tangaji made money out of it. His acolytes who supported him made money out of it. The Bamelikis who owned the store that sold the Makwata or cutlasses made money out of it. So the thing is so large in the context, you need to have open eyes. Atanganji, we all agree, is a criminal. But as far as we are concerned, his days are numbered. He'll only be safe if he never steps foot back to Ambazonia when we get home and establish ourselves. And of course, he's not alone. Yeah, his name is there. He's not alone. There are thousands, there are hundreds of them, not thousands. Included among them, that guy you were showing his picture, they call him the city mayor or whatever thing they call him, Bamada guy. These are people who are being used for the oppression of their own brothers, for the betrayal of their own people. Do they need somebody to tell them that people are dying? Does Tanganji need to be told how many people will die in Bamanda every night? Does he need that lesson? Does Mr. Musonge need to go to school? Or does he even need somebody to run the damn year only? How many people are dying in Kumba? He's from the Sarwa. Does Mr. Mbela Moki, who lives in Boyade, need a phone call to know that there was people have been killed in Nakoya, to know that people have been killed in Dian this morning because of flood? And yet, Mbela Moki, the appointed senator living in Boyade, who told us that they have been instructed to go and terrorize the terrorists. How many terrorists has Mr. Muki terrorized, even in Bokwango where he lives? So these are criminals using the struggle for their own gain. I'm not sure that in the rare elections, for example, Muki will ever win any election to go to anything in Fako. Neither will Mosonge. They will not have won anything, but they have been used by the system. Mosonge, who to the best of my knowledge, has not less than 5 retirement benefits. He was the Director General of Labujeni. He moved from there, he had retirement, he became the General Manager of the CDC. He moved from there, had retirement there, became the Minister, became the Prime Minister. Remained there, left his pension there when I became a senator. Got there, left his pension there when I became the chairman of the whatever nonsense they call it there. How did that happen? I thought just a few months ago we saw somebody, Moliko, their kid, they said that was his brother, who was defying Ghost Town, who was defying the Amber Boy. They took him out. And Mosonge kept quiet. He didn't even put up a finger to protest. So all these people, including those mayors, including Tanganji, yeah, it's the question of time. Their own day is coming. So that's the message I have for them. And I expand this so that they are acolytes. Because Tanganji is not alone. It's just the one being used to spread the message. It's the one being used to distract us. Yeah, distraction. How many phones can a Tanganji control? How many SIM cards can he keep? If they were giving the SIM cards. So that is all nonsense. He can try it, but I can assure you he will not succeed. Like the internet thing failed, that effort will fail. Let him just go and try. It will fail. Thank you.
All right,
Over to you.
Barrister Basier, now permit me to bring you back a bit in line with the systematic destruction of the GCE board as an institution of the Southern Cameroon's organization. Now, we could liken it to La Republique de Cameroon stylishly destroying Ambazonian's Anglo-Saxon institutions like their marketing board, their Southern Cameroon's bank, the Toleti estate, and many others. Would you agree with us? If not, what do you think?
Oh no, there's no doubt about that. You see, their problem is after destroying all what you said, those things were things that you could kill easily. We destroy them because the marketing board was the number of people working there and this physical building standing there. The bank was a building standing there with some money lying inside. You could blow down the building, that house Cameroon Bank, or blow down the building that house the marketing board. The marketing board was meant to sell produce outside, stop the sale of those goods, and the board would die. And that's what they did. They kill it. But the things they are trying to destroy now are not things they can kill. Yeah, they can do all harm on the GCA board. It would harm it, but it will not destroy the Anglophone desire to speak English, write GCE or their own exam. As long as you and me have children, and I'm sure the population that we had in 1993 when they were fighting for the GCE board has more than tripled. Those are not things that they can destroy. They will try, but they will not destroy them. But are they trying to continue doing it? They are trying to do exactly that, which is their goal. They destroy you, put out something to deceive you. Just from between 2016 and today, you heard them tell you why Anglophone people came, the lawyers came, the teachers came. We employ many more teachers to solve the teachers' problem in 2016. Good idea, but that our problem was not whether we wanted more teachers. Again, they're going to tell you why we created a section for NAM in the Supreme Court, where there's no section of NAM there. Because if they create one, it would just be something that they'll wipe out the next day. But whether they create one and wipe it out or not, that will not destroy the Anglophone idea of the common law. The common law has come to stay. They will not wipe it out. As long as we continue to speak English, they will not wipe it out. The language that we speak, which is not our own language, it's foreign language that we speak French, has become a culture, has become a religion that you cannot just kill like that. So they will continue to manipulate the people. They will continue to try to destroy the institutions, just like they destroyed the marketing board, just like they are destroying the GCA board, just like they are destroying the other thing else, PWD, the printing press. They carry it in from Boyan house behind a hut in Baminda there, in Yaoundé there, near the primary school, just to destroy it. But they could destroy those ones. But I'm very sorry their effort to destroy the GCA will not succeed. Because they can appoint even Bella Mbappe, who died though. They can appoint Charles Ntongo. They can appoint Paul Biya himself, his own daughters. They can be in charge of the GCA board. You can all try so much to destroy it, you will not destroy it. That's what I have to say about that. Over to you.
Thank you, Barrister Tim. That indeed has been seen as a clear case of assimilation. But then moving on with the next report that has to do with Russia and French Cameroon. In a controversial move, Russia and La République du Cameroon strengthen their military and diplomatic partnership on daily basis, with French Cameroon deploying mercenaries to support Russia's effort in Ukraine as caught on camera braggadociously aired on CRTV Web, La République State TV, while Russia endorses Philemon Yang's UN nomination, only tells it all. Now, this budding alliance stirs anxiety within the Ambazonian leadership, speculating on arms escalation in the ongoing conflict with French Cameroon.
Well, video emanating from social media shows that La Republic de Cameroon is threatening partnership ties with Russia. La Republic de Cameroon mercenaries terrorists have been found fighting launcher. Now, we want to believe that there is a military accord between La République de Cameroon and Russia, and it's amazing in the sense that although critics argues that initially there was no accord, but now there is an evidence. And of course, we can see all of these videos and all of the permutations and formulations that we are seeing. Now, could this mean that La République du Cameroon is losing his stance with France? Now, when it comes to relationships with other countries, America has suspended La République du Cameroon from AGUA.
Oh, well, what is agua? Well, agua
Как, брат, привет, если хочешь, передай, пользуясь случаем. Передай. Журналист.
Журналист?
Журналист.
Окей.
Можешь привет передать?
Здорово, брат.
Откуда сам? What's your name?
Fabrice.
Фабис?
Да. Photo? Ok.
Видео.
Vidéo. Viens un peu. Attends. Viens pour prendre une vidéo. C'est le journaliste russe. Viens. Viens. Viens prendre. C'est les journalistes, non, les Russes.
Bye.
Здорово, брат. Как дела? Все нормально?
Да, нормально.
Good.
Привет передавай своим родным, близким. Куда ты хотел передать привет? Говори. Смело.
Русский нет.
Мой камерунский.
Камерун.
Да.
English.
Французский.
Французский и английский. Нет по-русски.
Русский нет.
По-русски понимаю только чуть-чуть.
Родина. Камерун.
Камерун, да. Камерун.
Скажи жене, сестре Камерун привет. Сюда.
My co-uncle here talked about AGUA, the AGOA, which is the cornerstone of the United States economic engagement with the countries of sub-Saharan Africa. The AGOA was enacted in May 2000, and it promoted the African Growth and Opportunity Act. When they were suspended from the AGOA, I'm talking about the La République du Cameroun, they began to seek other military ties. Why are they looking for military ties? It's only because they do not want to settle diplomatically with the southern Cameroons. The two Cameroons are still at war today as has been seen, because the La République has refused to come to the negotiation table, and they have avoided all efforts to meet at the negotiation table.
Well, reports also says Republic of Cameroon is seeking for military aid before and now as well, because the war is getting expensive for them to fight Ambazonians. Now, this, on the other hand, again, brings a burden to the Ambazonian government on how to do their diplomatic partnerships as well. Now, we are aware that President Sako has placed calls for the U.S. to be more intentional, because the La République of Cameroon is taking sides that compromises Americans' partnership with Africa. Now, there are indications and high chances that even the high trucks that are coming into La République of Cameroon might not be coming in from China as suggested, but from Russia. Who knows if they are giving arms as well. Well, we will continue to give you updates on this as we bring in more reports.
Well, Undaunted ABC Amber News has gathered that the candidacy of a former prime minister proposed by the president of French Cameroon was unanimously reached during the 37th Conference of Head of States and Government of the African Union, which ended in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Now, it remains the actual stage of the election to be held in New York next June, which should enable the La République to take up these high office in accordance with the principle of regional rotation in this area.
Well, Human walked with his tail between his legs like a man who is not sure of his steps. He remained on a window dressing in the PM's office, taking instructions even from his Secretary General appointed by President Biya. He tactfully watched his beings in their teams, tens of thousands, by powers he served in Yaoundé. He condoned the killing, mutilation, maiming, subjugation, annihilation, all human rights, and genocide perpetrated by colonial barbaric Yahweh on his own people of the Southern Cameroons. From every indication, Yang being an Ambazonian son was expected to do a lot. But then he stood behind his master, colonial and genocidal French Cameroon, supported a one and indivisible Cameroon, and endorsed the external suffering of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia.
Well, will Philemon Yang's candidacy for the United Nations be of interest to Ambazonia? Well, it seems that the intersection is of benefit to Russia. There are very high chances that La République is placing themselves with Russia. Philemon Yang is not going to the United Nations to talk about the Southern Cameroon's issues, even if he is an Ambazonian born. But it is a pity because Philemon Yang, the son of Oku in Ambazonia, the interest of his people should have been of utmost importance to him. But then, sadly, that is not the case. Well, we still have with us in the studio Barrister team in Besia in regards to this particular report. There's deals going on between the Russia and the French Cameroon. What is happening? What is this alliance?
I think I had the opportunity to read the so-called military agreement. So I read the thing that they enter into. But that said, let us deal with what we have before us. That video we showed. If you're asking my personal analysis, I would tell you that that video is a scam. It's staged for a number of reasons. The first reason you see there is if Francophones military from the people were fighting in Russia, you find only two of them in a hole somewhere. And then they don't even know where they are. The other guy is speaking in French. Say, who is this man coming to us? He said, oh, that's a Russian journalist. These are supposed to be in the war front. So who is recording this thing? Who is taking these pictures and putting them on social media that you and me have found them? If scamming is something different from that, I don't know. The second point is technical. La République, I don't think they have any fight. If they have fighters as a military, they themselves are overstretched. They have not been able to fight Boko Haram. They are asking for assistance to fight Boko Haram. They have not been able to fight the uprisings in the eastern province from the Central African Republic. Talk less of fighting Ambazonia. They have wars surrounding their whole camp. And you think this La République, with this pressure on them, will be able to send soldiers to go and fight in Russia? To go and fight what? Can a regular military guy in Yaoundé even operate a Russian arm? You don't know how to operate that thing. So it is staged for the purpose of selling a message that they too are also there. Again, how do we get it? If they are going there, they go in secret, even as mercenaries. Then who is taking their picture, talking to a Russian journalist? Any Russian journalist, any journalist accredited to report on the war front in the world will not make videos of it and put it out until after the war. The Americans fight, they go with their journalists. You will never see that thing out there. The Russians and Americans in terms of war are the same. They know the war secrets. They will not put out any such video out there showing their military and those who are supporting them, because they could, and if that was Cameroon showing a Russian guy in Yaoundé or in Boya or in Ambazonian, that would have some meaning, because they would try to demoralize the local fighters, our Ambazonian, but that these guys are bringing experts from Russia who have military expertise. So we should fear them. What will a Cameroon naked soldier with his khaki pants do in Russia to frighten a Ukrainian weapon being launched by an American drone? Absolutely nothing. So that thing is staged. That's my personal opinion about it. It is staged. It cannot happen. They did not even talk about that in the agreement. For practical reasons, it is not possible for Cameroon today to deploy forces out. If they have ever had any forces out of Yaoundé to go out, they have gone out under the peacekeeping missions. But singularly, they take you out as an individual. Cameroon has never deployed a contingent, because when they go to you and peacekeeping forces, they deploy a whole battalion. This battalion is from Cameroon, this battalion is from Senegal, this battalion is from Ethiopia. I've been there and I see those things like that. Then they come to Cameroon and choose one or two good guys and say, okay, we have taken 2 soldiers with their intelligence. It's not a battalion, it's not a contingent of Cameroon military. They're not taking any experience fighting abroad. When they go out again, if they've ever gone out, they've gone out in peacekeeping processes, not in active war to support anybody. Because the way they fight their own war, which they don't even know how to fight, that's why they turn and burn our houses. That's why they turn and kill the women. That's why they turn and do everything that they do against us, which is by every standard against international war. The Russians may be doing what you don't like. The Americans may be doing what you don't like. But let us give them the credit. At least they know the rules of war. They might violate some of them, but they know the rules of war 1 million times more than a certain General Mbaraga, a certain Colonel, whoever they call it there in Yaoundé. So that is propaganda, absolute propaganda. That's my view about it. Then the next issue is Philemon Yang. You see, I talked about Atanganji. They used Ambazonians to strategize for what they want. If we have not forgotten, in 2016, when this crisis started, the Prime Minister was Philemon Yang. His lead person to negotiate with Ambazonians, with the consortium and so on and so forth, was somebody from his office. This guy is the guy who went to Bamenda to meet the teachers and the lawyers there. And we were told, the teachers and the lawyers told them, well, let us consult with our brothers in the Southwest, as they call it. They said, no. We don't want you to come together. We don't want you to come together. They used the very so-called Anglophones to divide the Anglophones because they knew the strength of Ambazonians coming together. So this man who was working in the Prime Minister's office refused them coming together because he did not want to face the combined force of one Anglophone team, challenging them for what they were negotiating them, with the teachers, with the lawyers, and the civil society. But unfortunately to them, unknown to them, when the consortium emerged, they wanted to exclude the Southwest. When the consortium emerged, the bulk of the leadership came from the Southwest that they did not want them to join. Agwambala was from Boya. He was the president of the Fako lawyers. Eyembe was from Kumba. And so on and so forth. So they used us. So if this thing has any meaning, which I don't think it has any meaning, the president of the General Assembly is supposed, very ceremonial, for 1 year. You only for 1 year. You don't have any vote to cast. You don't even have an opinion to give. Because even there, he will not be voting for Cameroon because Cameroon has its own representative at the United Nations. They have their diplomatic representations at the United Nations. They have the Cameroon ambassador to the United Nations. He sits there and talks for Cameroon. So this candidature, which came to Africa, the African Union had to provide that symbolic president for 1 year. And they say, okay, Cameroon, put their own money. Say, okay, fine. Let him go. Nobody will oppose him. He's going to become the president for the next year. He didn't do anything. No. Why? First, because it has no function. Secondly, because even Africa put together, his whole blood that he represents, does not do anything in the so-called United Nations. I've not heard anything that has come out of the United Nations because it came out of the African bloc. Absolutely zero. They cannot even stop the war in Somalia. They have not even been able to stop the war in the Congo. Tell less of on these wars that have been fought for the past 50 years. The African Union was called AOU, was created in 1964. They have not done anything. Nothing is coming out of that block. The other thing that Mr. Philemon might get, it is his pay. He needs that money. But what does he need the money for at his age? Having enjoyed all the posts he had, ambassador, minister, prime minister, what does he need a chunk of money for anymore? If you're preparing to die, if he doesn't want to die, he's still lucky to be alive. Like most of us of that age, the next step is that you're going to die. He doesn't need so much money. He does not want to leave his name in history for having done anything. He wants to leave back what they think about him as a permanent sellout to Yaoundé. And again, he's not alone. There are so many Ambazonians who are being used in the same manner to sell the doctrine of the enemy. But interestingly, Philemon is from Bui. He comes from Bui. That's where the whole fighting is taking place now, where people houses are being burned, where are being down the drain. And Philemon boldly tell the United Nations, if he had the opportunity, that everything is returning to normal in the so-called Cameroon, given what is happening at his own backyard in Bui. If he says so, he should be the most dishonest human being that has ever existed. If he says the truth, that something is going on, he loses nothing because they will dismiss him from nothing. He has served everywhere, had everything he needs. He does not need any further dismissal. The only thing they can do to him, which will not even affect him, is to turn around and withhold his pension, like they withheld the pension of poor. Oh yeah. Say, okay, we're not paying your pension anymore because you have spoken the truth. But as we say sometimes and often, tell the truth and shame the devil. Don't please the devil by hiding the truth. So we can only wish him, if he has any say at the United Nations, at his age, with his experience, he's a lawyer by training, to tell the truth of what it is. If he doesn't do it, God shall be our judge. Thank you. Over to you.
All right, Barrister Basia, thank you so much. I love how you ended. I love how you ended that very calm and subtle. But then, everyone who understand what you mean there. Meanwhile, do you think that the purported agenda and mind game and the constant romance between Putin's Russia and let's say Bia's La Republic to Cameroon is of great concern to Ambazonia?
No, it should not be a great concern to Ambazonia. What Yaoundé is concerned so much is not Ambazonia. When they go to Russia, when they go to the United States has already told them, we talk of AGOA. They say, look, this is not what we signed up for. We are taking you out of it. They have taken out Cameroon. They know that being taken off that list is more harmful than anything else. So what Cameroon is concerned with is not making allies in Russia to come and fight Ambazonia, because they can give them money. They don't give them the money, they'll borrow the money from the World Bank. But that alone will not do it. The ones they borrowed and bought money, brought weapons, we don't know where they came from, China or from Russia or anywhere. They ended up in Equatorial Guinea and they never left the warehouse. Their concern is to manage France, to get feedback from France. Because if they are going to Russia to buy weapons without passing through France, because, for example, Russia is a member of the BRICS, France loses the money that they would have taxed them if the weapons were bought in the United States that will pass through the euro, or if the weapons were bought directly from France. So if they are going to France, to Russia. They want Russia, France to give them better conditions of how to manage their own economy, because they don't do anything without going to render account to France. If the French decided to come and overthrow Paul Biya today, the Russians will do nothing. As I've said before, the Russians for the past 50, 60 years have always known what they call the sphere of influence of France, the sphere of influence of the UK, the sphere of influence of the Americans. They know, they respect those things. But when they go overboard, they come, you find the American coming to say, no, but you should not be here. The war in Russia, for example, is not so much a war that Russia wants to own Ukraine. No, it's a sphere of influence being interfered with. The West is trying to interfere, is interfering with the sphere of influence of Russia. And so they fight that thing. People will die. But whether they can out of it, if they got anything out of it, which will just be enough for them to steal. Which will not be enough, will just be enough for them to steal. They can go and buy weapons. They can do all that. What we can do and what we should be doing is to be sure that they should not buy weapons, for example, states, but which I think they are out of Agua, with the Americans sending them out of Agua, with the Americans taking their troops against Boko Haram. They cannot get weapons from America because these are superior weapons. We're not concerned with rifles and AK-47 anymore. We're concerned with drones. Those are the weapons that fight modern wars. These are weapons that fight modern wars. So that people is not going to fight us with AK-47. How many AK-47 do we have? What better AK-47 than Yaoundé? That's why we bring down the armored cars. Armored cars are built out of iron and hot steel. We bring them down with our own locally manufactured missiles. We bring those things down. That's a fact. I'm not imagining it. That's a fact. Yaoundé themselves admit it. You see, an armored car shattered. But some people are talking and do somewhere in Bamenda, in Bui there. It's not a fact. The pictures are taken there. So like they go and learn. Then ask the question, how did this Ambazonian become so powerful? Where are they getting these weapons? They can go and stay in Nigeria. They're not going to see any weapons come from Nigeria. They can go and spend their days and nights in the sea. First, they have the Navy base in Limbe. They're not going to catch them or manufacture them. So we're by far more advanced. Russia or no Russia, that will not influence this battle. They can go there if they want to, but they're wasting their time. But as far as the white man is concerned, nothing goes for nothing. The Russians, the Americans, the Chinese, whoever it is, the French, they will not give you those weapons for free. Yaoundé has no money to buy weapons. What you take on credit, and Paul Biya dies, and Atangaji dies, and the whole next generation dies, you will not be able to pay the debt. You are taking the debt for your children and your grandchildren to pay. The white man everywhere in the world does not give you something for nothing. You pay, sir. Again, as I've said before, Ambazonian is doing our very best. Who don't take world bank loans, who don't even take a loan from Credit Foncier in Yaoundé, who fight you with a cutlasses, who fight you with a rubber gun, who fight you with a spears, and we're able to bring down your armored cars. So go on. Go on. We're waiting for you. Over to you. Over to you.
Thank you, Barrister Team. Thank you for all of your input here tonight. As always, you've enlightened Ambazonians once again. It's been amazing having you do this with us yet again tonight on Undaunted. But at this point, we call it a close here. We'll just take this breaking news and then we'll wrap up for tonight. Thank you once again for joining in on the show for tonight.
Right here is a breaking news. Ngoya Bell, a journalist working with the Central African Forest Commission, has been murdered in Yaoundé, sparking a massive outcry for justice in the area. Batek Yabel Landry is the main suspect behind the murder of his mother, Lucette Ngo. He reportedly butchered, committed the act, and hid her in a vase on Sunday. He had allegedly killed his grandmother in December, but the family covered up the case in a viral, unauthenticated voice note. He is currently in custody, according to CNA report. We'll definitely look into that developing story and bring you up to speed with the latest in that regard. But until then, remember to follow us on all socials and share to your friends and family. Thank you for being part of Undaunted tonight.
We'll leave you with ABC and the TV images. Good night and God bless you.